Having a delicious beverage. A lot of delicious beverages. That is delicious. What a delicious beverage. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Delicious Beverage Program. My name is Dean. I just had a delicious beverage myself. Lachlan Cross is having a delicious beverage. Brent on tour is here. He's also having a delicious beverage. Ryan Lindley is here. Oh, he's having a delicious alcoholic beverage.
Shit, I might have to join you, Ryan.
And my man Hoppy, my man Brad Hoppy, the Hopsky, Mr. Paramedic, Mr. First, Mr. Frontline guy, Mr. Firefighter is here. He's also having a delicious beverage. What's in yours?
Tea. Yeah. Yep. Peppermint tea.
Fucking Friday, Hop. It's fucking Friday.
I know. That means nothing when you're a shift worker, does it?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Nothing.
You're on shift? Nothing. No.
I don't know how guys do the shift working thing. I need some consistency in my schedule. It must be hard, man.
Up at what time? What time you up every day?
Well, but I'm up at the same time all the time.
Yeah.
You're bouncing around though. Like your body never gets used to whatever shift it is. Like you know what I mean? Yeah, that's gotta be tough.
Yeah. Are we supposed to start this with our first names only, or that feels this one like looking at this screen?
What do you mean? No, we're supposed to. What do you? Oh, like on the Chiron or whatever they call it, like the thing that has your name on the screen.
No, like a meeting. Like, are we supposed to introduce ourselves with our first names only? I feel like the only alcoholic here. So,
hey, just so you know, I've been to about 4,000 of those, and this is nothing like that.
Hey, Diener, the old
buddy.
Twitter handle's wrong, bud.
Again? Yeah. Did I fuck it up?
Yeah. Sorry,
Get out of here.
Time. No, it is.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Brad Hopper, 14?
Yeah, it's showing at 12.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Just had to, bud. It's Friday.
Are you dyslexic, Dean? Have you got a little dyslexic in you?
I don't know. I never checked.
You might. Yeah, you might.
I think this is radio shtick. This is going to be your thing now, Brad.
Right on.
It's maybe turned into that.
Well, prior to this,
I don't think
I
we've ever gotten Brad's Twitter handle right.
Not once.
No, there's a lot of people out there getting messages. They have no idea what's going on. But
some guy named Brad in Istanbul now. Who is Dean Blundell? Who is this Dean Blundell?
What is this? Okay, sorry, Hop. It's Brad Hopper 14 on Twitter is where you can find Brad. Brad Hopper 12 is not Brad Hopper 14, clearly. But whatever.
Let's see who Brad Hopper 12 is.
Yeah, exactly. Nice to see everybody today. We got Hoppy in Kingston area, in and around the Kingston Belleville area. We got Lindley from the Sheeple Shepherd podcast here at DeanBlundell.com. You can follow him at Ryan Lindley on Twitter. He's also here, but he's up in Wyerton at a wedding, which is why he's drinking already. And Brenton is...
I'm joining him.
No, do it. Go grab a pint. Yeah, do what James does. Come back with like some crackers and cheese and a few Cheerios in a little bowl. That'll be great.
That's
what he does. Yeah,
that's
he's like a child.
That's before the bread pudding. After that,
yeah. And that is Brent on tour. Locke is in Edmonton. Brent is. What are you? Middle Ohio? Where are you right now?
I'm in a town with no Uber in a Holiday Inn in the middle of Ohio. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I don't know if any of you guys like the rock and roll band Megadeath. He is currently on tour with the rock and roll band Megadeath. He's been all over the United States. He's a tour manager for Megadeath. I don't know if you guys know.
No, not a tour manager. Not a tour manager.
What
that's
are you?
Other people that I run the tour from the promoter.
Well, that's fucking managing the tour.
Well, sure.
Isn't that not managing the tour? Well, what's your title? I'm just asking.
Well,
you're the tour. You're the tour guy. Are you the tour person?
Costanza.
The tour Costanza?
Yeah. No, I run the tour on behalf of the promoter, so I'm a tour director for the promoter. Yeah.
Okay. So tour director for
I oversee the tour. I oversee the tour, but I work with the production manager and the tour manager to make sure everyone's, getting.
He's the go get. He's the go get me that guy.
Mm-hmm.
So,
we put all so you oversee all the other people overseeing things. Like you're the head overseer of the Megadeath tour right now. Is that correct?
On the promoter side, correct. And then the tour has all of their people that run their divisions. It's very complicating, but bottom line,
yeah. Okay. So you're touring, which is fucking incredible, and he's on his way to, which is where I want to start the cast today. You're on the way to New York, and tomorrow is September 11th.
I will be there tomorrow.
Which is fucked. Is that not fucking eerie a little bit? 20 years.
Yeah,
100%. And to have a day off there, like, you look at your tour schedule and you go, oh, where are we off, or what venues are we playing? Mm-hmm. And at first glance, I didn't catch it. And the second glance, I'm like, holy shit, we're actually off in New York City on September 11th, which is the weirdest thing in the world because I was supposed to be there 20 years ago. So that's the double down weirdness of the whole thing. So
like you're supposed to be in New York or in the World Trade Center 20 years ago.
Well, in the World Trade, but we were in New York for for CJ, for the band I was tour managing at the time. Different role. The band I was tour managing at the time was on their way down to the CMJ Music Festival, and then it obviously got canceled. Management, everybody was down there when it happened, so they were already there. And then we were on our way. So coincidentally, we were on our way. I don't want to jump too far ahead, Diener, but like we were on our way, and I'm sure you're going to ask where we were when it all happened, and where I was renewing my passport to get ready.
Oh my God.
Holy shit.
Oh wow.
That's pretty fucking crazy, man. That's crazy.
So ominous.
It was the weirdest thing in the world because my passport was in my birth certificate, was in shambles. Yeah. And then so I'm like, I better get it, for crossing over and pay no attention to the born in Oshawa part. Don't hold that against me. So then basically,
I'm just stealing your identity right now.
We were supposed to go.
Hold it. At least we know he was born with fetal alcohol syndrome. So that's good.
That's right. That's right. Which is why I don't drink.
His head's not big enough.
But we, So anyways, I was there. We were in the process. I was at home and on the way to get this renewed when all this happened. So
that's insane.
To be there, to almost be there, and then to have a day off 20 years after to the day is the weirdest
in New York.
In New York City.
Well, and to have your certificate with that date on it too is that's crazy.
It's the greatest.
Have you guys been down to the memorial?
No. Never.
Listen. I would highly recommend it. It was very powerful. My wife and I were in New York. My daughter got into a camp. She's in dance, so she got into this contemporary school down there and was performing for the month of January, 2020, and we had never been, and so we went down a couple of days early to see her perform in this sort of end of the camp performance. And I told the wife, I said, let's go down. Let's get it, a hotel and stay down there. And I'd never been to New York. So we kind of did the thing. And one of the things on our list was the memorial. And it was amazing. It's so well done. And I don't know how to put it. Such a fitting representation of what happened on some level. I can't explain it. It really worked. I mean, all of us have been touched on by that in a different way. But if you ever go to New York, I tell people, regardless of what you think of that whole thing or how it impacted you, you should try to make your way down there to see that. It's very cool.
And here's thanks, Lockett, and that's kind of what I want to get to because I know that day was like the first year I got to Toronto, and I want to, a lot of us were on the air. Locke, you were on the radio for it. I was on the radio for it, specifically in the morning. It's 20 years. 20 years have gone by. I remember the first year anniversary thinking, man, it was still so fresh. And 20 years later, again. I was watching this thing on HBO. It was a Spike Lee thing called Epicenters, New York City, 2001 to 2021. And they covered a bunch of stuff in this series. And in the series, they had real raw, uncut footage that no one had ever seen before of what happened that day. And did it ever take me back to that day for me? It took me back to the time when I was sitting in a studio, and it was fucking weird. Sitting in a studio at the Edge, and you're on Yonge Street. And the studio back at the time was literally in a mall. It was a storefront in a mall, and it was the only radio station of its kind in the world, which was kind of why people used to come down all the time. But we had these massive speakers, and at the time, we had. Do you remember the dudes from this traveling weirdo show called Puppetry of the Penis? Do you remember those dudes?
Yeah.
So they were in town, and right when the first plane hit the very first World Trade Center, it was World Trade Center 1, They had their dicks in their hands and they were manipulating their balls into things that looked like hamburgers, a sailboat, which was really neat. And they were conducting a workshop.
I can do the wristwatch.
And yeah, I can't yet. I'm working on it. And I was
There's one I call one a hedgehog where I can take the skin.
Okay, all right. But we have these guys, and they're doing these things with their wieners, and our news person runs out. Her name is Tina Trajani. And she was like, a plane just flew into the World Trade Center. And I'm like, yeah, but we got guys with their dicks in their hands. And she's like, no, I think it's a big plane. So I go back into the studio, and it was like a little news studio, and you're looking at, one desk in the corner, there's a little TV above the desk and the computer and stuff, and like smoke is billowing out of the top of it. And I'm like, no big deal. Went back to the puppetry of the penis guys. We're, doing the thing, and all of a sudden
shouldn't be funny.
Tina screams, and she's like, oh my God, another plane hit. And so we went and watched, and it was on CNN, and both like smoke's pouring out of these buildings. And then, you're watching to see what happens. Obviously the thing, the towers collapsed like half hour after. And, that was about 9:30, I think, just after 9 o'clock. And I get a phone call from my program director. He's like, you got to stay on the radio. I'm like, for what? I don't even we're a music station. I've never done like play-by-play of an international disaster before in my fucking life. And he's like, stay on the air because I can't put the midday girl on because she's terrible. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I was on the air that day from 6 a.m. until 3 p.m. And as we sat there hour after hour,
did you play any music or did you just roll?
Yeah, we played a little bit of music, but not very much. But hour after hour, as we were on the air, and I was smoking in the studio back then too. I'm like, can I smoke in here at least if I'm going to fucking have to do a radio show for 10 hours straight? They're like, yeah, go ahead. We don't care. Like the world's on fire. I'm like, all right.
I like your priorities.
Yeah.
Hold on. Can I just interrupt because I want you to finish this story because I am fascinated by this, but I need to know what happened. Like, what did you say to the penis guys?
I said, show's over, guys. Like, the fucking world's on fire. You got to put your dicks in your pants and get out of here. And they're like,
were they
right
upset?
on, mate. You got it, mate. No problem. No. And then Ben Mulrooney and I, 2 days later, went to the Puppetry of the Peanut Show. Just him and I in the front row, watching guys pull their dicks apart. Me and Ben Mulrooney. It was the best. But as hours kind of progressed and we were on the air, and we were to the point, literally, this is back when like you didn't have the internet, you didn't have I didn't even have a fucking cell phone back then, like nothing. And to get commentary or to find out what was going on, we literally had to take a camera, not just a camera, a microphone, put it on a boom, and take that microphone and stick it in front of an old tube television speaker, like just the little speaker, because like I'm like, I don't know what's going on in New York. We got to put CNN on or something. Like, and this is 20 years ago, right? So it's like nothing. We don't get information. We don't hear anything. We keep doing updates. Tina's on the air like a normal. She's like, oh my, and she's like crying and doing these newscasts, going, the world's over, and I think there's planes coming at the CN Tower right now. And I'm like, I guess this is journalism, right, everybody? But the fucking crazy part was, I looked up and it was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Like looked up. We were so fucking out of it because I'd never seen anything like it. I'm watching the World Trade Center just come down, and I'm on the radio for this whole thing, and I got to tell people about it. And I look out the window I get goosebumps even fucking talking about it. I looked out the window, and we had speakers out front on the sidewalk, and the sidewalk on Yonge Street, which is where we were, Yonge and Victoria, Yonge and Shooterish. People are packed, like 30, 40 people deep into the streets, onto the other side of the streets, listening to us and listening to us put CNN on and delivering updates and, trying to find counselors to put on. Women are fucking calling in from the 401 saying, can you call my house? Like, it was the most insane morning. And I'd been in the city of Toronto from Windsor, sleepy Windsor, for a few months. And I'm like, holy fuck. Like, what is... it blew my mind. Like it just and so we finished the show. It's like 3 o'clock. Brother Bill comes in, and I start crying, like just start bawling. And I go into the back and sit down and cry because I'd never said, fuck, I'm going to cry again. Never seen anything like that. And it was like, it was hard to explain the impact that it had on me. I went and picked up my son at daycare immediately after I left. He's 21, 22 now. And he was 1 back then. I picked him up and he's like, "Hi, Dad." I'm like, "The world had a bad day, kid." He's like, you know what he said to me? Mine poop. And
it all
Apparently he's
fixed it.
German.
Mine poop, Dad. Mine poop. But it was like, it was the weirdest. It still is to this day, and it's not something obviously we talk about because, there's bigger things to talk about than my experience with 9/11 when fucking 6,000 people died that day in New York.
Yeah.
But I would, what I would love to talk to is Hoppy about this because you're a firefighter.
Yeah.
Where were you September 11th, 2001?
I was not fire then. I was, ironically enough, finishing my transition of a career change into paramedicine. So I was at the college. We were just about to finish, and the world ended. Basically, as you say, we felt like it was over, and we were there knowing that basically in another few months we were going to be out joining those people that were out there. It was surreal. It made me question the career change. 10 years later, I jumped paramedics full time and went into fire. But I sent you some DMs there, Dean. Have a look. Never been to the memorial. Don't know if I can go yet. It's like you say, it's haunting, and it's kind of something that lives in the back of our minds all the time. But not sure if you're aware, in Belleville, my main fire headquarters has a piece of the World Trade Center in our lobby. We sent a contingency down. The Belleville Fire did shortly after everything happened, and they're having their memorial. And they, in response to the attendance to that, they sent a piece of the tower, and it's sitting in our lobby with a plaque. It's pretty deep. A lot of our guys don't like to walk by it. A lot of our guys just know that it's there and it's for the public around us. But I sent you some pictures. Don't know if you can get them later, but
no, I'm bringing them up now.
Yeah,
I think this is the piece you're talking about, if I'm not mistaken. Right.
Yeah, that's it there. That's our lobby of our fire headquarters, which is our Station 1 in Belleville, and it's literally a piece of the building that came down. So when times get tough, when we're all kind of grouping together and that, we kind of look at that and realize things can be a lot worse. So yeah, and it's for everyone to see. I'm not sure. It's pretty heavy to take in, and we do draw a lot of visitors from around.
How many of your guys went down there? How many guys in that detachment that you now are at? How many guys went down there?
There's about 15 guys that went down, and we only have 60. So
there was crews from all across the country that went down, right? To help.
Yeah.
And, after
we were there.
You felt like you couldn't do enough.
We were there a month later. That festival ended up happening a month later, and you come in through the tunnel, and the whole city smelled like it was still burning, like on sulfur.
Yeah,
and
people have talked about that. The smell.
And the smell was just, I'll never forget it ever. But the local bars were filled with firemen from Canada that had come down to help. We'd met them all. Yeah. It was something else.
And I heard somebody more of a shoulder. They needed a shoulder. At the time, there wasn't a whole lot of help they could bring other than just a brother or sister down there to give someone a hug,
The impact too, I think, is not lost on us, but it gets brought up every year around this time, and I always hear a story or two that kind of sinks in to give it perspective. So I was listening to somebody tell a story about, at the time, their girlfriend, and she was working in New York and downtown, and he couldn't get a hold of her, and the towers were falling. And then, like, literally 6 hours later, she showed up at the apartment. They lived in New York, and she was covered in ash, and she was just in shock. So she was down there close enough that she realized, and there was, everything just stopped, all the transport to everything. So she just turned around and started walking home. And
it took her 6 hours.
Yeah, like 5 hours, 6 hours or something to get back to the apartment. And the entire time there was no thought on her behalf to stop and phone anybody because she was in shock. And then she got to the apartment, and then she just said, I can't be here anymore, and flew to Seattle and started a new career in Seattle.
Started a new life.
Wow. Yeah.
Here's a better picture of, sorry, I forgot. Here's a better picture of that piece of the World Trade Center that's in Hoppy's office. He's a paramedic in the Kingston, Belleville area. which I watched that. Like, did Hop? Have you watched any specials on this? Like, just looking at that thing, is
I
weird.
I can't get through a lot of them. It's the same for all of us. It's kind of, what you could encounter every day. Now, I'm not saying World Trade Center level, but
yeah,
it's hard to keep your chin up after watching a show like that and then go to work the next day. So we some of us dig right in and some of us filter it our own ways.
I can't even watch any of it.
Specials out of there.
No.
The important thing you brought up, Locke, was it's not just the firemen. There's so many standards, security guards, police officers, paramedics, and it's affected everyone. The firefighters kind of were the most numerous that were recognized, but no, that's there for anybody to see. That's public, and it's haunting. I'm not. We don't go near it.
Part of the story that I don't know if we hear enough about is the health, the impact on the people that were down there, and in the heart of this whole situation from ground zero, and then we're there for months and months cleaning up, and the cancer and all this crazy shit that's going on, and I'm glad there's a number of groups that are sort of advocating and fighting to help those people out. Right, they've lost quite a few people that day, obviously, but then they've been losing people continuously from the ramifications of what happened, right?
And you're talking physical health, right, Locke?
Mm-hmm.
Physical and
mental health side, and the amount of losses for people that just couldn't handle the after effects from being within arm's reach of it. It's immeasurable. Yeah.
John Stewart, Steve Buscemi is another one that is really front and center in trying to help people out. Jared brought that.
What's that?
Steve
what did you say? Yeah, Steve was a firefighter.
No, I was saying, Buscemi was a firefighter.
Yeah.
In New York.
He went there to help. Like he went and strapped on the gear and went down to help. And it's not something people talk about. And that was kind of one of the things that amazed me about that time. And I remember Ben Kowalowitz, who's now the lead singer of Billy Talent. He was, the producer for the Afternoon Drive guy. And we did this big, because you remember they were like, we need rubber gloves, we need water, and we need boots. Remember that?
Yeah.
And dog food for the cadaver dogs. That's what they needed. Yeah. So we did this massive drive, and we had skids and skids and skids. And I walked into the studio. It was like 2 days after it happened. We're doing this drive, and I was talking to Ben. And again, I looked at him, he looked at me, and we started crying. Like, fuck, we got a few tons of dog food in the studio. And people are just saying, hey, can you just send dog food for the dogs? Because at this point, it's just a recovery thing, right? Where were you, Lindley, when this whole thing happened?
I was at home. I worked nights. I used to work doing security with my brother, actually. And I got home, and it was about 8:30, 9 o'clock. My mom called me, and she was at work. And she phoned me. She said, she was frantic. Turn on the TV. And I what channel? She's like, any channel. Just turn the TV on. And started watching it. So a friend of mine worked at the Mount Hope Airport in Hamilton, and they were saying that they were redirecting all the flights, like those ones that went to Gander. A lot of them came to Hamilton, apparently. And we ended up down the end of the runway just watching them coming in, and there was RCMP and OPP, like everybody was there to receive everybody. There was Red Cross was there to make sure that, there was tents for them to hang out, because they knew they were going to be stuck there for who knew how long. The world's under attack. Nobody knows what the fuck is going on. So, And then we went back to work that night, and we worked in a very commercialized area of Ancaster, where the Silver City, the famous Players, is fucking empty. And normally it would be packed. There'd be not one car in the parking lot that day, not one car that night. Nobody was there to see any movies. The theater people were hanging out outside smoking darts. Just, what the hell are we going to do? So it was surreal. It was like a whole, like you say, it was like a whole, you had no idea. You have no idea what the hell's going on. We're watching above us to look for planes. Like, that's how, we're like, fuck, are we next? Like, what's going on? So it was pretty scary.
Yeah. Do you remember the hysteria after that? I was in Toronto, so it was probably a little bit different than it was for some of you guys, maybe in different cities across Canada. But do you remember the hysteria immediately after it, where news outlets were reporting that there were planes, rogue planes, all over the place? Like, do you remember that? And do you remember, like, did any of you guys
Yeah.
walk outside that day and look up like, fuck,
Yep.
what is going
and
on?
It was dead.
Yeah.
And it was dead,
Yeah.
and they said they're going to shoot somebody. Anybody in the air is going to get shot out of the air. It's like it's shit we'd never heard in our lives. It's like you remember hearing about it in the war, but not in normal day. Like that's just a normal. It was a beautiful day. It was a beautiful. I believe it was a Tuesday, wasn't it? It was just a beautiful sunny day, and
It was
the fucking
Tuesday,
world
yeah.
changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was at work,
Where
and
were you on the air? Locke, where were you? Were you doing mornings then, or
no.
He was in a pub underneath a pool table, hammered ass drunk.
Probably. No, I was in Winnipeg. I was at Power
it up.
97.
Close
And BJ and Hal were on the air. And I was the music director at the time, and I had just started, and I was still learning the system. So I was going into work early. And I remember I went in, and they were in the middle of commercial break or something. And I went in and I said, something's going on in New York. I said, look at your TV. And like Dean, we had a little TV, little tube TV in the corner, back corner of the control room.
I'm on the
And
podcast.
right away, right when that happened, like shortly after I pointed their attention to it, the second plane came in. And I looked at them and I said, I think you guys need to stop playing tunes and just go on and start reporting this. And they're like, what the fuck do you mean? These are rock jocks, right? I mean, and Dean sort of summed it up at the beginning, so I don't need to get into it, but I'm brand new there. I'm 2 months there. They have no time for me. I'm not their boss, but I'm the music director, and I'm the only sort of authority figure there. And it wasn't like we were going to get a hold of our program director. And I'm like, dude, listen, I don't think we should come back and play headstones. I think you should just start talking. And they're like, fuck off. And I'm like, dude, I don't know what else to tell you, but like, this is pretty serious. And they sat down and they did it. And they just got into a zone, kind of like Dean. And the same thing, they stayed on the air till the afternoon. Exactly the same thing in Winnipeg on Power. We stopped fucking playing tunes and they just started talking, the two of them. Taking calls, people were calling in. Same thing. I got a cousin in New York right now, or somebody I know lives down there. It was pretty fucking powerful day of radio for everybody. And the thing is too, that's why I was so fascinated by Dean's story. I think a lot of us who were involved in that was a teaching moment about what's important, right? Because in radio you have this idea of what it is that you're doing, and quite often there are these very sort of steadfast and traditional rules about radio and what you can and can't do, and you got to hit the post and all that fucking shit. But there's just so much after watching that and being a part of that and being part of the decision to do what we did. It impacted me and my career, right?
Yeah,
for sure.
And having a a good mix of tunes, fuck off. Who fucking cares? It's not about that anymore.
I guess just from what you guys were saying the other day about like the sticky jock shit that you guys had to do, I could just imagine second plane just hit the building and down weather with guy blah, blah, blah. I couldn't imagine fuck.
Yeah.
How you feel like a douchebag doing that.
Even
we're gonna
even
check
if there
in
isn't
with Cody on the corn report,
even when there isn't an international tragedy, you still felt like a douchebag doing it. Just letting you know. Just saying.
I couldn't see you actually sticking to a script on a day like that. There's no.
And that was the crazy fucking part. Back then, and I made mention of it, Locke. We didn't have phones. There's no Twitter. There's no Instagram. There's no Facebook. There's no MySpace was new.
I had a BlackBerry.
Barely. Yeah, I didn't have anything. I didn't even fucking have a cell phone. And that was brand new back then. You know what was really funny is. It's not funny, but the first time I'd heard about BlackBerry was through Ben Mulrooney, because he was in for the Puppetry the Penis thing too, right? He was in that morning for an interview watching this stuff happen.
I can't believe you had the Puppet of the Peanutry guys in
right
the day of
during 9/11. As it was happening. And some of these guys had soup cans, dude. And I'm watching this thing. And anyway, Ben's like, he's furiously on his BlackBerry, and he's like, "Do you have one of these things?" Because I'm pinning my brother. I'm talking to his brother Mark. I think was in New York at that time. I think that was his brother that was in New York. And he's like, "Oh fuck! I finally just got a hold of him," because phones were down, right? Like nobody could get a hold of anybody. But to your point, the rush of that morning and how serious that morning was, I think that affected me in ways that I still probably don't even understand. Like, I mean, I've been through my stuff and all the other things, but like, getting on a plane, I didn't get on a plane for probably 7 years after that. Holy shit. I just wouldn't get on an airplane. I'm like, fuck, I don't want to fly into a building. And it was and I'm like, I could care less about that stuff, generally speaking. Right. But it bothered me to that capacity. And then you talk about the responsibility of having to kind of fucking fit it together because, you're a rock jock. You get paid to go, "Hey, how you doing, Liz? Time, temperature, and here's the song, and we got a big fucking contest coming up." And stuff. You're trained to do that. You're not trained to use your brain, So, like,
you're not a news commentator.
You're not. No.
Now I understand why I've been so good at this.
Now I understand why you've been in the business for so long. You're incredible.
Dean, it was your first podcast. You just went off script. Talked for
it was.
hours.
It really was.
Brent, you're right.
Nailed it.
Yeah. But that event changed our business.
Yeah,
it fucking changed our business. And I've never really thought about it that way. But the other thing too, you can't do is because you can now, 20 years later, you can have a conversation like this and talk about the impact it had on you. But back then, you weren't sitting there going, "Yeah, I cried after that show," because there was people that were jumping out of the fucking building, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's the way we sort of we haven't had a lot of time because it's not the right thing to do to uncover what that event meant to us as broadcasters and people that were trying to relay that information to the general public, right?
Well, I just couldn't imagine sitting like as I'm at home, I'm a nobody and I can't process it. I couldn't imagine having to present it to millions of people listening on the air. Like,
wasn't awesome.
Like, how do you keep it together? Like, how do you process it? And then
you just get in his zone, man.
Just do it. Yeah. It's just, it's like, it's like when you look at a really messy room and you're like, fuck, where do I start? And then at the end of it, you're clean and you're like, I don't know how I did that, but I did it. It's just one of those things, right? Brent, what were you, Brent, you've been trying to butt in here.
No, it's just, but there was no social media at the time. So Block, to your point, like it came, it happened. Everyone's mind was blown away. You said your industry got changed. Ours completely shut down for like 2 weeks. Not since September 11th has the music industry shut down until COVID shut down for 19 months. That's the first time in between those breaks. I'm not comparing the two. I'm saying that's the first time where that shut down and then then we had this break and then our industry shut down. COVID's covered like crazy. September 11th was covered in that time and then they went right into war. Mm-hmm. And then they went right in. And then all the stories you heard after that were just about recovery and then the battle that the waterfront was having to rebuild the tower, and that took over the story. It's like, well, we got to honor him, but there was so much union bullshit that the September 11th thing kind of was all about. It kind of went this way, and then now I feel like it's coming. Like now that the memorial's built, there's more of these stories of the families that were affected and the people that were killed. But at the time, it kind of hit, and then it was like right into war, and then. We're gonna get him, and then it kind of went away. It wasn't. Can you imagine it was social media back then?
Yeah. The sad thing about
imagine how fucking huge that like we put people punching each other in the face on Twitter and they get 5 million views, right? Yeah. Can you imagine being the first person to tweet out that attack? Like now, when we didn't have Twitter back then, that was like viral without having the ability to go viral. Like that viral didn't exist back then. Like it took over consciousness. It wasn't one of the conversations that we were having. Like we have several. It was it. And it was so fucking heavy that I remember my boss says, you got to put a thing on the front page of the website, which we had 8 people would go there every day. You got to put a thing on the front page of the website about, hey, it's a serious time right now. We'll learn to laugh a little later. Let's just kind of get through this. We didn't do a fun show for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Like we didn't get back to content for a month, like content that I would consider to be radio content, like laughs, jokes, contests, like just generally
guys that
speaking.
Can do tricks with their penises.
dick tricks, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Everybody was practicing semen retention for at least 3 days because everybody felt guilty to do it.
But yeah, it changed. Like, it changed how we deliver stuff. It changed what we do. And again, just an incredible. Like, I fucking, and I think just because we've been so insulated and busy with the pandemic and all the other stuff and trying to get by, that I don't know about you guys, but it was only like a few days ago where I'm like, 20 years. Like, it's been fucking. When it was like the 20-year anniversary of this, I'm like, it's been.
I had the same thing.
20 years. Did you really?
Well, my buddy Army Chris, who has been to Afghanistan, I think 3 times. He did 3 tours over there, and he's trying to launch a podcast right now. And it's military based. Actually, I've sent you some of his teases.
Yeah, I like it.
And and he, for somebody who hasn't done this before, I think he might be onto something. And I told him I wanted the two of you to have a conversation. And he sent me a tease, and in it he talks about the fact that it's a 20th anniversary. And I went, holy shit. And you know what? We talk about the impact it's had on our business. Brad talks about the impact it had on him and the thought process he had after the fact, right? He fucking went to war because of it. Right? Like, he was like, all right, I guess I'm going to fuck up some bad guys. That was his thought process. And there's a lot of people that are wired like that, in North America, that were like, I guess I need to go join, and I'm doing it today. Yeah.
Wade sent something similar. Wade, who's a religious listener, I think he's out in Alberta. The impact is still happening today. He goes on to say, my son-in-law would have been 17 at the time of the attacks. He decided that very moment that he was joining the Canadian Armed Forces to defend our nation. Fast forward 6 years, and he ends up in Afghanistan dismantling IEDs. He ended up losing his left leg, and after suffering through 5 years of 5 years of torment from his injuries, he passed away. I mean, we're sitting here talking about, how terrible this was on our industries. That's the cost, right? The cost was, and like, I watched that Epicenter thing with Spike Jonze the other day. They really centered on the firefighters. Like, they really centered on those firefighters. And they had a firefighter that was in the staging area at the bottom of one of the lobbies of the second building, and talking about how his brother sent his brother, and 30 to 40 other firefighters. They look at him and they go, you got to go up. And they all went like this. We know. Like, we know.
Yeah.
Like, that's, as a firefighter and as a paramedic and as a responder, and I know you can't watch those shows, but, like, that's a special person. Like, that, they knew. And I don't know if you talked to guys about it that did the work that day or didn't get up there or knew some of those guys, but to the fire captain that sent all those guys up there in this documentary, he's like, they knew, we knew, but we had to do it.
It's not. That's the day-to-day job of these first responders every day. That highlighted a massive event. That highlighted the one that everybody heard of, but it kind of illustrates what we do and why we are respected the way we are by some people. And it's what you sign up for. It's what you agree to do. And when it calls, you go in. And we've had some very close situations ourselves. A lot of the responders I know. 9/11 was epic scale. Don't get me wrong. It was absolutely grand scheme, but it opened everyone's eyes and it showed that feeling. And those movies, what you're talking about, the Epicenter, and that feeling is very true in those shows, and something we don't necessarily want to feel. I don't, watching it. I can get that maybe tomorrow at work. I don't need to have it now. And I'm just glad, as awful as it is, that the message and the feelings can be conveyed to everybody.
Can I ask a question, Brad?
Absolutely.
You brought it up about the respect that, like it did it. It kind of blew up all first responders and put them on the center stage. What's your feelings about conspiracy theories around this, like 9/11, like when they came out and they were saying it was, false flag and it was fake, and like real people are dead, your brothers are dead, and these people are Collins, 158 servicemen from Canada gave their lives because of it. Absolutely. Like, what do you think that is? Like, how do you reflect on that, and how do you feel about it?
I think until it's proven totally wrong, there has to be some suspicion of any conspiracy in any of these events. You just can't think through it. You just need to think about the moment. You'll never go to work. You'll be crippled. You'll be paralyzed before you even show up. You can't think about the possibilities of the underlying messages or reasons or conspiracies that are going on.
Yeah.
You signed up for a job.
I couldn't imagine watching you being like talking to somebody that had that mindset and was telling you that it was all fake or those were not real planes. And
those conspiracies. Yeah, I was more talking about the reasoning or the rational behind it, but no, I have no time for that. I have
those guys can fuck right off.
Yeah, they can fuck right off.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, what do you say? You just got to walk away. They've shown their intelligence by saying that. Perfect for me. I can walk away and I'm done with it. But I see a message that's come up there, but it is a little uncomfortable, but I wanted to get in on this conversation today. I know it's going to get a lot more comfortable later in this podcast. So, but that being said, I stepped away for a second. My tea is now gone, Locke and Ryan. And we're gonna have a cheers. Cheers. Pretty heavy. There it is. Cheers to all you guys and to
Dean, we're outnumbered now.
Yeah. I got a soda water. Cheers. Listen, and let me kind of wrap this up and move on to when Ryan was super fat. But
Dean's stoned.
No, I'm not at all. At all.
Okay.
Not at all stoned. I wished I was. It's a nighttime thing, boys. But cheers to our first responders. Cheers to those who lost their lives. Cheers to those that made that day, a little bit better or tried to make it a little bit better for everybody. And the lives that lost 20 years, and it's affected all kinds of people. To us, it's nothing to give these people. Specifically people in your business, Brad, firefighters, first responders, considering what you're going through even now. Big cheers and a big thank you to you and everybody. Really appreciate it. Cheers, buddy.
Right back at you guys.
Cheers.
Right back.
Yeah, you're welcome. Now, let's
see Fat Ryan.
Sure, here you go.
How fat?
Let's look at Fat Ryan.
Oh, awesome. Fuck, I want to meet with that. I would have partied with that guy.
So, reason why I wanted to get everybody on today is that Ryan Lindley's the host of the Sheeple Shepherd podcast. Him and his lovely wife, Ash. He's had some huge changes in his life. We love talking about changes and making better changes and getting better. And what I've noticed here is that Ryan used to be super fat. Now, Ryan, Locke, first of all, Locke's going to ask you how much you weighed there. Which, by the way, you look incredibly unhealthy. It looks like your body's choking you to death. But I want to get to that thing underneath your nose. Is that a bug that you got hanging in that picture? Is that what that is?
You know what? I wouldn't have given a shit anyway. It was just go with the flow.
Are you on one of those scooters to get around? Are you on a Costanza?
No.
Is that a Costanza scooter?
No, this is the funny part. I was actually in Mexico with my brother when these photos were taken, and we rented these fucking scooters. And I swear
there's
to God,
nothing better than a fat guy on a scooter.
You know what's better than a fat guy on a scooter, Lock? Two fat guys on scooters, and that's what we were. We were circus bears, and we're in Mexico, so we're already I'm 6'3", my brother's 6'8", and we're already monsters in Mexico where we were. Yeah. So we were a sideshow. Do you have that picture, Dean, of the cab or no?
No, I don't have it. But if you can scramble and send it to me, I'll throw it up. I still like this one because you've got half a sub on your upper lip. But anyway, go ahead.
He also looks like half the security on this tour, by the way. So.
And funny enough, this was 2009, 2010, so I would have been working security at the time.
Good stuff.
Hey? Yeah.
But what the fuck? How old are you here?
Well, I would have been 29, 28, wow. 29 or 30. I would have been 29, just turning 30.
Okay. How much did you weigh then?
Bathroom scales wouldn't tell me. It would just give me the triple E when we were at the casino. I would get the three Like, nah, fuck you, bud. Get off me. So I would go to the
You know you're in trouble when the bathroom scale doesn't work anymore.
Taps out. Yeah.
It gives you error codes. And so I would go to the doctor, and the doctor would say, step up on the scale. And I'd watch and this was actually, it's funny now to think about it, but I would watch the nurse as you stood on that scale, and she would do that. She would move the thing, and she'd look at me, and I'd be like, no, keep going. And she'd move it some more. No, keep going. And I think I topped out. I think I was at about 560 at one point.
Oh, what?
And I was a size 60 waist, 60-32. So I was literally the same amount around as I was long for my pants. So
like if you stretched out your belt, it was the same length as you were.
Yeah.
6'4" around.
So
Wow.
what happened there? Like, was this a long time coming, or was it like
what happened there?
Food.
What was there something specific you were dining on? Like,
I don't know they call that dining.
Oh, he left some in his face.
I was grazing. It was grazing.
Oh,
How does one individual? I think that's what Locke's asking. How does one individual clock the scales at 560?
Like, I keep going up, move it.
Yeah. How'd you do it? Like, how'd you get that big? Like when? How? Is it depression? Was it food? What was it?
It was everything, really. At that time, right around 2002, I was in a car accident, and before that, I was actually a bit of a gym rat. I used to go 3 or 4 times a week. I was in okay shape. I wasn't no Adonis, but I was okay. And I got hit. It fucked my back up. It fucked my shoulder up. So I stopped going. And my family, if you're not moving, you're just getting bigger and wider. So I just let it kind of get away from me, I guess. And then, of course, the depression, the mother of my daughter, we split up, and that didn't help. And it got worse. And that's when, it'd be eating, drinking, and just everything that I could do. Like, I was the fattest Percocet head that you ever met. It was everything. And then, so finally it was to the point where I couldn't walk from, like, if you can see behind me, I wouldn't make it to those trees without my back putting me almost on the ground in tears and pain. So my daughter was, at the time she was about 4 or 5. And I said, I can't do this anymore. I gotta fix this somehow. And I did. I just stopped ordering 2 Big Macs. You don't have to order 2. Apparently you can just order 1.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, you don't need to upsize the fries. You don't even need to eat the fries. You go to the bar. I'd be the guy that would order 3 pounds of wings, a pitcher of beer, and the garlic bread with cheese. Apparently now I know that you can do 1 pound of wings, a pint of beer, and don't eat the bread. And it fell off. It literally did. It just started falling off. It took a couple of years, and I did no crazy exercise or anything. It was
at least you're honest about what it was that got you there. I mean, I've known some pretty big guys, and you're like, hey, maybe cut out the food, or like, are you eating at night? And they're like, I don't really eat that much.
Yeah, no, it's calories. Yeah, no. Yeah. Cholesterol count says that's a lie.
Yeah.
No, they it really was. It was unconscious. A lot of it was unconscious. A lot of it was just you're doing it to do something. And like I say, I went from I was with my daughter's mom, who I absolutely adore. I love her now. Like, we have a really good relationship. She gets along really well with my wife. Like, it's a really cool, healthy thing now. But if it wasn't for my ex at the time, I'd be dead. Like, I had sleep apnea. I wasn't able, like, I would literally, if I was in this podcast then, I promise you, once somebody else started talking, if I wasn't the one talking, I'd fall asleep sitting here. I'd just fall asleep.
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. Can I ask you a question? How sexy were you with the CPAP machine on this face right there? How sexy was that at night?
That's a good look.
I look like a fighter pilot. Like a fighter pilot.
Top Gun.
That sound. And You know how easy it was
Hop.
to get laid with one of those on your face? Oh, boy.
Hop. What were you gonna say? Were you gonna say something, Hop?
I just wanted to thank Ryan. Honest
Go on.
honest to goodness, that is the worst case scenario for us. The biggins
And that's-
are they're so hard to help.
That's why I asked you.
Honestly, no, I'm not. We're joking around, but that is the call from hell for us. It's everything logistically is just not possible.
You know what though,
And
Ryan?
Like
there's
what?
a ton
Like
of
what?
it out
Give me-
there, and
Like even just picking them up.
Try and do how big were your veins then? You probably couldn't even see a vein, eh, Ryan?
You
Trying to get an IV in that?
You
No,
could not get
no,
an IV in. No.
no.
And when they would try and take
And-
blood, you might as well punch me in the nose.
Right
And
out
if
of
you
the
were
neck.
needing a lift, I mean, there's how many guys would it take to lift you? Probably 3-4
I
people
don't-
now. That's
Nobody. Thankfully, that never happened. I never got to that point, but I never needed that assistance. But if I
That's
did, I
good.
guarantee you
Yeah.
that would have been a lot.
There's a
people
vein in his
There's
neck.
a vein. Right? It's a carotid artery. That's the closest one to the skin.
the only
You're
one
gonna
that
have
you
to
can get.
fucking go in.
Wow, he's filling these bags up quick, eh?
we can
And I-
poke that only in the worst case there, Ryan. That was worst case scenario we can go
You
for.
better
it.
be crashing.
Can you really?
That's it.
Can you-
Yeah, it's the last case resort. Yeah.
Carotid
You go for
going to the neck.
Yeah. Go in the jugular. The jugular. Yeah. But
Sorry, Ryan. That's just a sad story. Way to
it's-
go. Way to change your life. That's awesome.
the number one
You
thing
know
for
what?
me is if you help yourself, you're going to get the most help of all the responders, of all the doctors, of all the medical staff. If you're willing to try for yourself, they're going to put full on and they're going to try twice as hard for you. So good for you.
Well, that's what
That's
happened.
awesome. Yeah.
That's actually what happened. I went to the doctor, and my doctor actually had a bariatric specialist in his actual practice, and he sent me to go see that guy. And somebody in the Emily asked in the comments about the keto and stuff. No, I don't. I didn't do any of that shit because I won't follow that stuff. And my doctor, my actual family doctor, just said to me, he said, "Ryan, listen, calories in, calories out. Just put the fucking fork down, and you'll be." I'm friends with my doctor. He said, "Put the fucking fork down and just stop. You'll be fine. It'll your metabolism is good. Your heart, my blood pressure. Believe it or not, in that picture, my blood pressure was like 125/85. Like I was never.
No offense.
my blood
No
pressure was
offense
never
here,
high.
Ryan. No offense. I don't believe you.
No, I believe it or not, I was the pinnacle of blood pressure health when I was.
Is that because you weren't moving, Ryan?
Pretty much, yeah.
If you got off that bike, I don't know if you're at 135, bud.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Hey, what's his blood pressure from the couch to the bathroom?
That's got to
10
go
over
190. 190.
No, I don't know if it's a slow thing or like I've got a thing because it's still to this day my blood pressure it's not dangerously low, but it's always on the low side. So maybe that helped. I don't know. And
How
I'm
many
sure
pounds did you lose?
No.
How many pounds did you lose, Ryan? Where are you at now?
I'm at I fluctuate now I'll go from between 275 to, and now I'm actually over. I'm probably closer to 3 now just because of COVID, and I've. The drinking kind of increased a little bit. I'm not as active. I'm not going, like I work from home now, which is a fucking death sentence for a fat guy that isn't fat anymore. So I have to force myself and remind myself, you don't fucking go to work anymore. You have to go and move and go do shit because you can't just go from the bed to the office to the bed. Yeah. So luckily I've got the dog, right? So Charlie, he wants to do things. So he
Charlie Spaniels?
Charlie Spaniels. He's here with me now.
Yeah.
Hey buddy.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question? About like give me one of your worst days of eating back when you were this guy. Give me like what did that guy eat? Like his worst eating day where you're like, I'm bad, but
we
this
want breakfast, lunch, and
dangerous.
dinner.
Like right before that picture. Right before
let
that
me
picture,
give you.
'cause there's
Sorry,
still
and let
some
me-
in there.
Well, there's. I want that guy's diet, but before we get started, I need to give you some fatty music. Here we go. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Breakfast. You get up, then what?
I would get up, and it would never be breakfast. It would be, is there anything over for one? So it'll be pasta. Sure, fuck, I'll have a carbonara with a nice fucking parmesan on the top, whatever, right? Nice Chianti is fava bean. No, and then it would just be raising throughout the day. I want a handful of crackers. There goes the whole. Now we're at lunch, and now it's okay. Well, let's get up and go get something, and I will, like I say, the 2 Big Macs, whatever. And I wasn't hungry. That was the best part. I just could put it in the locker and it'd be fine. Like I just fucking do it,
Yeah.
And then it would go to dinner. Dinner would be whatever. We would be in a pub somewhere, or we a lot of it eating out, like a lot. So that's why I cook now. I had to teach myself how to cook so I could teach myself how to eat. I still I don't eat. I still eat shitty. Don't get me wrong. Like I just know that I can order a full pizza and not have to eat the whole thing. I can have 2 slices and have some more tomorrow now. Like it's one of those, literally that dumbed down in my brain. I had to literally be conscious of every single thing I was doing, and it did it. It fell off. Like it fell off. So it was all self-inflicted. There's no glandular problem. I don't have a low metabolism. I don't have any, there was no excuses. It was just me. I was a lazy fat piece of shit, and
so
I just couldn't be a lazy.
That honesty, man, is fucking gold.
Yeah, not many people are that honest.
But I feel like an asshole saying it now, because there are people like I did, and there's people with legitimate health struggles, and I don't want them thinking I'm being a fuck, it was fucking easy. It wasn't easy. Don't get me wrong. It was literally changing my brain. Like it was a cognitive awareness of you have to overcome your unconscious. And that fat guy still lives in me sometimes. I'll sit down and I will fucking annihilate a bag, like a family size bag of chips, if I'm not paying attention. If I'm watching something
what flavor?
What
flavor? What flavor?
All dressed or salt and vinegar are those are my nemesis.
I got to stop myself. I have a fat guy living in me too, and I've got to stop myself from the purchases, because if it ends up in the house, it's like I walked by that hell of a good dip at Costco, and I know I don't need 2 buckets of it, but I also know that if I take 2 buckets of that hell of a good dip fucking home, I'm gonna kill that tonight. I'm gonna find. I'll be dipping bread in it if I run out of chips.
Dude, at my worst, I would literally get like Cheetos. No word of a lie. I would get a bag of Cheetos, big bag of Cheetos, a thing of hell of a dip. I would dip the Cheetos in the hell of a dip, and I would eat the entire bag of Cheetos and like half a thing of hell of a dip. Yeah. And I remember thinking to myself one night, and because this is my worst night, I had an entire bag of Cheetos with hell of a dip, and then I'm like, maybe I should have a can of ravioli.
I like how it was maybe I should. Like there was any question. Not like I'm going to be a fat ass and eat the ravioli.
I like to when you're at the bottom of the bag of chips and you still got dip left, you're not even worried about the fact that half of the fucking dip is on your hands. Like you're just
dude, you know what I do? The remnants. You know what I used to do with the remnants? I would pour the remnants in the hell of a dip and then eat it. Did you do that too? And then eat it like soup? Yeah.
Yes,
totally good for you.
Fat guy life hacks. That's what this show would be called.
The show is going to be getting fatter instead of getting better. We're going to be getting fatter.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Do you have any pictures, Dean, of when you were that big?
No, I don't actually, because I was like afraid of cameras, because I'm like, I don't want to see this again. Like this, I don't want to fucking stand here and look. But a couple, like I posted a thing because I quit drinking 4 years ago, and then on the 4th year anniversary, I posted a thing on it, and I included a picture of myself, and I showed my kids the other day, and they're like, "Holy shit, you used to be a fat fuck." And I'm like, yeah, yeah. They're like how fat were you? I'm like 320. Like I topped at 320 was me like bending. I'm 6'3". 6'4", same thing, and I was like bending over to tie up my shoes. I was like,
oh, the bad thing too is if you've got a little bit of height on you. So Ryan, you're taller. Like like I'm 6'4" too. Dean's 6'4", and you can punch on 10, 15 pounds in a blink of an eye, and you're not really aware of it. And then that 5 or 10. Is just it can keep rolling, right? You can get yourself into big trouble.
Absolutely, really fast too, and that's what happened with COVID. Like I was like that picture that you have that I tweeted something out last night about promoting the show, and that guy was in there too. But this trip, it's funny that you bring up this trip. You want to talk? I was at an all-inclusive resort, and to a fat guy, an all-inclusive resort is just. We were at We're at the Italian restaurant in the resort. I'll never fucking forget this. And they said, they had this carpaccio, this thinly razor thin sliced raw beef, and it was delicious. And it's an appetizer, so they bring you to a little plate with the sauce. And we went back the next night. I'm like, I want that, but I want that as a fucking meal. Can you just pile it on to the plate? And I'll just eat that. And they're like, no, we have to serve it. They're all individually made on. I said, then bring me 10 fucking plates. I had no shame. I'm like, yeah, just bring 10 plates. Then. I said, I feel bad for you because you have to do the dishes. I'm trying to save you from doing the dishes. Just give it to me. And they said, no, we can't. I think they do that to try and shame you, but you're not going to out shame me. I'm sorry. Now it's on. I'm having that. I'm having that. And
I have similar shame issues around alcohol at those resorts.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you.
Yeah, it's that was literally the last time I drank was at an all-inclusive because of that. No word of a lie. 4 days in, I'm like, well, this is over. I can't keep doing this. It's a fucking Super Bowl for alcoholics.
Super Bowl of alcoholics. That's
and it's all watered down shit, so you drink 100 of them just to try to catch up. You're like, why don't I not waste it? What's going on here?
Yeah. So let me ask you this then, fellas, because like, how old are you, Hop? Are you in your 40s, mid 40s?
Yeah, mid 40s. Yeah.
Mid 40s. Lindley, how old are you? 40?
41.
41. Locke's 62. Brent, you're 40.
51.
45. Yeah, I'm 45.
You're 45. Let me ask you guys this, because we're all in our 40s. I've made some significant changes because my whole goal, and this is why I love talking to Ryan, and we shoot back and forth with texts, and Locke and I talk about this quite often. Brent and I talk about this quite often, all privately. Hop, you and I haven't had, like, we DM each other about, wellness and stuff like that. But
Locke's
do you guys find, what's that?
Locke's going to get some dip.
Well, he's going to get some hell of a dip so he could have it with his beer. Yeah, nothing like a bowl, a hell of a dip with a spoon with your Bud Light. That's okay. But like, Hop, when you talk to guys, because you're a medical professional as well, do you find that there's a lot of people our age that, I know for Lindley, it was a couple of years ago he decided to get his shit together. 4 years ago at 44, I'm like, it's probably time to try and be human. But like, it's not hard when it is hard when, there's, I don't know if you're like this. I'm like, Locke's pretty steady. I know Brent quit drinking 2.5 years ago because of where he is and where he wanted to go and what he wanted. Do you find that there are a lot of guys in our demo that are like, I got to fucking take stock. Like, I got to figure out, what's wrong? Why am I here? Why am I happy? Because, I work with some of these guys, and I think, talking to a medical professional about this, someone who's very honest about his own mental health and his feelings, and
what you call the fat ones? What do you call them?
The
Tons
biggins?
of fun.
The biggins.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I may use that, Brad.
Biggin.
Yeah. Hey.
But it's not just the food, right? Like for me, it was booze. For Brent, it was booze. For Locke, it's still booze and will be for years, which I love. For Lindley, it was food. For some people, it's gambling. Like, what do you see with like a lot of people in our age going, "Hey, I need to take stock right now"?
One of two ways, Dean. One of two ways. They either realize they got to take stock and clean up. Quite often it's a divorce or a life change or something that's going on that's making them think they got to take, or a doctor's appointment that's triggered them. Or in our world, we're seeing a lot of our own mortality and they give up. They go the other way. They say, screw it. I could walk out the door tomorrow and not even make it to work. So what do I care what I eat tonight? What do I care what I do? We're not all as portrayed on TV. Let me tell you that. There's a lot of coworkers, and myself included, could use a little extra work. We could all use some work, but definitely this age group, usually a health scare. I think if I had to answer any of those is from my line of work, someone I've picked up is getting that scare that they needed to jolt themselves back to what they need to do to correct themselves. But I've seen it go both ways. It's they've either given up or they're trying extra hard. There seems to be no in between anymore. Mm-hmm. And as you know, things don't respond like they did when you were 20. That's for sure, as far as those things go. Anyway, that's.
I got a couple of friends that are on the. I guess this is the back 40, and I kind of like the way my life is going, and I try not to respect them because I know that's the last thing they need. But you got to have a little bit of respect for those guys, don't you? Just a touch.
Absolutely. Just
They're
throwing it all.
they're on the fucking horse, and they're
they won't stop.
they're still,
Yeah.
and he's
Yeah.
on the horse smoking the res cigarettes. I got a carton for $50.
That's right. Yeah. It's,
Yeah. Yeah, but there's like that's what you just said, Brad.
Respect. I'm sorry.
I do too. I've got friends that like are hard drinkers, hard smokers in their 50s, still having fun, still having a laugh, and I'm like, I don't know how you do it, robot, but fucking way to go, because you are atypical. There's no one like you. Like, I got to a point where I literally had to go, hang on, something's fucking wrong. Like, my assessment of things are wrong. Where I'm at is wrong. Where how I feel is wrong. I'm angry. I don't like myself, all that stuff. But you mentioned something earlier, and Ryan Lindley, I'm surprised knowing that this was you, because listen, no offense, I'm glad you didn't give up. This is give up territory for me.
Yeah,
like if I'm that big, I'm like,
look at the smile on his face. He's going for a scooter ride. He's got a fucking churro fucking.
Hey, we haven't determined whether the scooter was actually going to drive him. He might have a couple of locals pushing him around back there. So we
have no idea. I almost hit a taxi cab and I gave up. And the guy, thankfully,
that's the nightmare, Ryan.
He already didn't. Yeah, he already didn't. That it was gonna. Yeah, right. Like exactly. You
how do I
Mexican...
pull you out of a cab at that size? How do I show up? I just call
grease the doors. Grease the doors with some Crisco, and then you put you hang a Twinkie on the outside of the door, and you say, "Let's go, big fella, come get it." That's what you do.
Brad, have you ever Brad, somebody asked a question in there, Brad, about removing walls to remove the biggins.
Okay.
Have you ever had to remove a biggin? Have you ever had to remove a biggin from a car with the jaws of life? Where you're like, it's not even an accident. You're just stuck, or we got to get you out, and we got to cut your car open to get you out. Have you had that happen?
Even better. My biggest biggin lived in a school bus. Lived in it, and got too big to get out of the bus.
Oh no!
Then we had to cut the side of the school bus out. I'm not lying. 800 and something pounds, biggest individual I've ever seen in my life.
Oh,
to put that in perspective, Ryan, you probably would be in my top 10 as a patient at your maximum weight. You don't see many people over 500. You're lucky to get through that.
Yes,
you are lucky.
Yes,
and
yes,
good for you.
Yes, I don't win a lot,
but definitely had to cut an individual out of a school bus and a hoist to the ambulance, and the ambulance then couldn't fit him. We had to put him on the floor of the ambulance. The bed was too small.
Holy shit.
Yeah. No, we're talking big and humiliating, and you just don't really, you're not trained for those calls. You just go with it as best you can. But the key there is enabling. If you can't get out of the bus, you're going to lose weight. Someone's bringing that stuff to you on the bus. Hope Bonzi's listening here. Get off the bus while you can. Don't stay on the bus. He's trying hard. He's trying hard.
If you listen, if you have the picture of you in the cab, can you send it to me real quick? Even in the chat or DM, because that picture of Ryan it makes this picture look. He looks like he just finished an aerobics class. That's how good he looks in this picture. Like Ryan, he really does.
The one thing I will say about go ahead.
No. Go.
So one thing I will say about what's happened over the last 19 months, 20 months on the pandemic side is that it's kind of gone one or the other. A lot of people have had doubled down on their alcohol consumption, or they've completely quit, or they've doubled down on their food consumption.
Double's a strong word.
Okay, triple. Sorry, Locke. But there's been I've seen a lot 30%. Of changes, especially being out here, and seeing. I'm on a bus where I'm on a tour bus for the first time where everyone has one beer and goes to bed. I haven't seen that in forever. It was everyone just seems to be taking care of themselves a little bit better, which I'm a big fan of, and we all have.
You should swing by Edmonton. Don't
worry,
really quick.
Don't worry. They were talking about Edmonton on the bus the other day, and they're like, "Holy fuck!"
Hang out with the morning show on Cruise FM.
Yeah, we'll make that happen. But
Ryan, I got to ask you. You lost the CPAP, right? That's gone.
Yeah, that was totally weight-based.
Changed? There had to be many, because honestly, the comorbidities with obesity, or everything is made worse. That's all. That's the way it is. If you had heart trouble, your heart's bad. Were you diabetic?
No, actually, you know what? And that's funny because my brother is.
Wow.
And my brother's 10 years older than me, and my brother is a type 2 diabetic. And so my grandmother was. I was high risk, obviously.
Man, you
And,
fucking dodged the
no,
bullet there.
I really did.
I got a
And
question.
now
I have
that
a
I'm
I have a
getting older,
legitimate.
have
Lindley, I'm talking.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm getting the
I have a
Bonzi.
legitimate question about you at 560. Could you see it? Yes or no?
Could you grab it? That's a
There's
better
no
question.
way. There's no way, Ryan. Come on.
Dean, you
No
couldn't
mirrors.
see it.
So your gut hung over your dick?
Yeah, no, nobody was seeing it. That was that.
So you
barn
could go
door
out
was
completely.
closed.
You know, it's one of the benefits
Wow.
of being morbidly
Yeah.
obese is that you could go out naked and not get charged with indecent exposure.
Yeah, you know,
Right.
like they show that, like when Griffin on Family Guy has no clothes on. That
Yeah.
is literally what
Yeah.
it looks like. It's just no.
So can I
It's,
ask you
it's
another
gone.
personal
And,
question about that? Can I ask you again? I'm talking. Can I ask? Can I ask you another personal question about that?
Night, everybody.
What was it difficult to pleasure yourself?
Of course it was.
So
See,
Yeah,
that,
no,
to
it
me, that
was,
would be a
lie.
red flag.
Did you have to
Like,
get
how
on
did
your
you do
back?
it? Yeah.
Without
A
food.
stuffed animal. Or?
I was
Without
practicing
food.
semen retention before it was cool. Yeah, yeah, it was definitely a flat on the back, wheezy, breathy. Yeah, no, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty.
It's been a couple of interesting days on the old pod. I'm going to say that.
CPAP
out loud.
on. On or off?
I was going to say it earlier. Oh, that was CPAP off, baby. Total nude.
Whacking off with
breathing.
the CPAP. Did you ever whack off with the
Risky.
CPAP on?
You were risking it, Ryan.
No, definitely needed it after though. I had to really have it later.
It's exhausting back. Yeah, like that's the thing. Like I think about, because I'm fucked in the head, when I see someone that big, I'm like tell me about the gear. Like how does that,
it's the
you know what I
first
mean?
thing, of course.
Yeah.
Of course, it's the first thing that people think, right? There was nothing, and it'd be lucky if it worked half the time,
Mhm.
and that like Brad said about the comorbidities and the different problems that come with that. It's the heart's trying to keep blood in the other parts. It doesn't have time for that.
It doesn't have room.
And the grim reality, Ryan, is you don't see anybody in a nursing home that's over 400 pounds. You just don't see it.
You really don't.
And that's the reality of it. And people, this conversation is lighthearted by all means, but it's definitely, you're a great spokesperson for everybody that's gone through that, because everyone asks these questions of themselves, like Dean said. How the hell does this person do this or not do this? I've been fortunate or unfortunate enough to have individuals in my care that I could talk one-on-one with, and they're rather open like yourself. And it's quite, I guess it's, were you afraid? I guess that's the question I always ask people that are that large, where we're not going to be able to help you. If something went wrong, are you afraid that I'm going to do CPR and a compression that I give you will not even touch your heart? It's not going to go near it.
I think the fear actually was it was tied into the sleep debt. And I used to drive my daughter, where her and my ex live, is about an hour away. So I used to drive an hour there to pick her up and an hour home. And I would be on my way home falling asleep in the car. And, I don't know how many times I hit the gravel and just one of those fall asleep at a light. It's like, I'm going to die. Like I will die. I'm going to, and if it's not from my physical self, it's from falling asleep at the wheel. And that's when I realized I can't do this with her in the car. Like it wasn't an option anymore. So it was time to grow up. And that was a big part of it. It was just growing up. It was like, stop acting like you're 21 years old and you're going to the gym 3 or 4 times. So you're not. You're a lazy fat guy, and you need to stop being a lazy fat guy. And that's all.
And honestly, you seem pretty confident in that picture on the scooter. Like, were you deep down? Were you ever embarrassed? Were you ever in a situation where you were embarrassed to be that size, or did you just live with it?
Oh no, absolutely. Because I wasn't like that my whole life. Like that was new. Like that was only like maybe a 5 to 8 year span of my life when I was that big. And that was that was what it was. Definitely it was a lot of shame. There was a lot of things I wouldn't do, a lot of things I wouldn't take part in. I wouldn't go to a Cats game because I couldn't walk up the fucking stairs to get to my seat.
Yeah.
Like if it wasn't field level, I ain't going,
Yeah.
And that wasn't me just being a pretentious dick either.
Brad, what was your
what
was your fighting weight? What was your lowest weight? And then it got to that 560. You're in the threes now. Do you what did you start at?
I was
and then move up to.
I would say I would like maybe 240, 230, 240. I would fluctuate all the time. Like it was a seasonal thing for me. The winter I would pack it on. The summer I would take it off, and then I just packed it on and packed it on and packed it on. There was no taking it off anymore.
And do you have an end game now? What's your final? Are you working towards it?
I don't. I've never had a goal, Brent. Never. I've never had a goal. I just said, just do it until you feel better. And I just started feeling better. So I just do it anyway. And now I've actually gotten to the point where I can't eat 2 pounds of wings if I even try. Like we'll go out to a restaurant and I'll order wings, we'll say. And Ashley, I'll order 1 pound and Ashley will end up eating the last 2 of my wings because I can't finish them, especially if I've got a beer. Oh, fuck. Count me out. I'm the worst person to take to an all you can eat now. I used to be the worst person for another reason back then, and now I'm the worst person to take now because it's a waste of fucking money. So,
do you ever put like a couple of chicken cutlets in your pockets at like the Mandarin or something?
No. I had money. Like I wasn't poor. I could always access the food. I didn't have to do that, but.
Yeah.
I would just take them and eat them there. Like there was no need to do. Maybe if I'm hungry later. No, just do it now. Just eat it all now until you can't eat anymore, and then go home. That means you're done. You win. Meanwhile, you just ate 8,000 calories and put on another 5 pounds into the bucket.
One of my greatest days of my life was I started traveling with the sports teams when I was a kid. And back in the day, like I was all cock and ribs. I looked like a fucking garbage dog.
Yeah.
And that went away when I hit 40, but I could eat fucking anything and I could just pack food away. And I had never, I grew up poor and we never went out for food. Like we never went to restaurants, nothing. And so we started traveling with I think it was the volleyball team first. Doesn't matter. Anyway, this is like, I finally make this team and we're traveling and we went to Kelowna and we stopped at fucking Bonanza. And I walk in and I'm like, what is this? And like the guys are trying to explain to me what fucking Bonanza is. And I'm like, holy fuck, you mean you can just go up? And I was that guy that was trying to put food in my pockets. Like I was like, this is all, you can just sit here and eat all day? And they're like, yep. And that was like a great moment for me. I swear to God, I've been hiding a fat guy forever. Like I will rip up a buffet. Like you won't get me out of there.
Yeah, I always say that fat guy still lives here. He's still there. I just need to keep him in check. I used to just let him in all the time. Now it's like, bud, just chill the fuck out. Like I can see some comments, and there's my friend John's in there, and like he says about ice cream. That's one of them. Chips and ice cream are my fucking kryptonite. It's my kryptonite.
Yeah, John says, I remember Ryan Lindley used to eat an endless bag of McDonald's. I didn't know they had those, but that's fucking awesome, by the way. An endless bag. And then he says, don't get Ryan on ice cream.
John knows. John knows. John saw the trans. John was with me back then to now. Dude,
that's a 340-pound swing. Like you lost 340 pounds. Like that is unbelievable. Yeah. And I just want to say, well done. Like, just being able to touch yourself again is huge. Like being able to wipe your ass without having to
animals out, buddy. Throw those stuffed animals out.
And I ended up landing a wife 10 years younger than me now. Yeah. So like really all the benefits came later. So it was well worth it.
See, look at that. Look at that. You lose weight. You get rid of the dead weight. You hook up with a young chick. You guys are like your wife just hooked up with us on the podcast before this. We showed her a picture of you with that churro on your lip.
She's seen these. She knows.
Yeah, we showed her a picture of that churro on your lip, and I can tell you this is that you look terrible. Like,
I felt terrible.
She's-
I remember that. I remember that time. I remember that week. And this is the best. It was like the travel agent had no fucking clue she was sending 2 fat guys to this place. It was a resort in Mexico that was 3 resorts in one. So it was literally the size of the fucking Sky Dome, like for property. Like it was insane. So when you would go to a restaurant and they were all identical, so I'd get blasted and get lost. I'd be like, where the fuck am I? Like the lobby looks the same. This is and I can't walk. Okay. There's something that happened on this trip too. My brother will attest to it. And this is bad. Like this is really bad. Okay. I can't believe I'm going to tell this. We landed really late, and we got there, and we had a couple of drinks on the plane, and gotten the whatever bus that takes you to the resort. By the time we got there, it was probably 11 o'clock at night, so all the bars were closed in the resort except for like the sports bar. So where the sports bar was located to where the closest bathroom was fucking. For me, with my back and stuff, there was no way I was going to make it, but I'm here. So we were at a stand up and we were kind of leaning there. My brother looked at me at one point. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, just don't fucking look at me. And I just hung a piss right in the bar on the floor because I knew I wasn't taking it to that fucking bathroom. And it was 11:30 at night. I was shit tanked, and there's a 500-pound guy pissing on the floor in a bar. Yeah, that's how bad it got. Like it was literally, I could sell it to myself that was okay because it's their fault they didn't build a bathroom closer for a fat guy like me to get to. And yeah.
Well,
so,
if we're getting into moments like that, you don't need to be fat. I'll just say that out loud. And we haven't got enough time.
A little better.
We have not got enough time to dig into my fucking life.
Yeah. Well, here's the picture he was talking about in the cab. There you go. That is a big cat.
This cabbie, it was so funny. He could not get over the size of me beside him. My brother was in the back seat, if that tells you anything, because he was thinner than me, so he could get in and out of a back seat. And that's why he snapped the picture, because this guy all he would do was like giggle nervously and talk about mountain man. It was really yeah.
Here's one of you at work looking like you're having a great time. By the way, there's you with the scooter again, and the great part is I didn't know this. You got a smoke in your hand too. Picture of health.
Oh yeah. Look at that.
Wow.
Look at and that's my brother, by the way. That's Jay.
Is that your chin strap?
It sure is.
What is that? Okay,
That's called.
That was
that's
an
called,
eye patch.
Forget it. Yeah.
Thought it was your eye patch off.
That was the CPAP. I needed it for the ride.
That is commitment, though. When you're a big dude like that and you're
Yeah.
still hacking darts too, that's fucking solid work. Yeah,
That's what I believe that I believe what they refer to that as throwing a little bit of caution to the wind. That's what that is. It's like, hey, I'm 560. Might as well have a few smokes too. See what happens.
Why not?
Roll the fucking dice. But if you're like me, I was like when I was drinking heavy, like I would look at other guys that like I would look at homeless guys. It's terrible. I would look at homeless guys and I'm like, they're still alive. Drinking can't be that bad.
Kind of.
That's literally how I would
It's not
think.
a
I don't know
bad
if you're
point.
like that,
It's a
where
good
you look at guys as big as you and you go, they're still alive. I'm fine. I could probably.
what I've done is I've just chosen to hang around with people that have worse addiction problems than I do.
Smart, and that means look good. Like you're now the guru.
Yeah. Literally, like I've had like my buddy will come over to help me move something in the garage or something, and he'll drive up with a beer in his hand, and he'll get out like and it's like 11 o'clock in the morning,
and they're still looking down his nose at him. Oh.
I'm not going to start drinking for at least an hour. You clearly have a problem.
Boys, this has been fun. But I do want to get to one more guest before we're done, and because I don't know if you guys are following the Blue Jays. Hands up if you're a Blue Jays fan. You watching the streak that they're on? Anybody see their 8th in the row? Nick Reed, our Blue Jays guy, joins us. Nick Reed, ladies and gentlemen. Nick Reed is back. Nick Reed is here.
Nick, how you doing?
Good.
Does the mustache
really,
have something to do with the run?
Yeah, really greasy stash, dude.
Yeah.
I
got
kept
churro in it.
like this since September 1st, and they've won every game, so it's kind of a little superstition.
Oh, it's you then. Awesome.
Yeah, it's good. Way to go.
Yeah, it might be.
You're like literally one picture away from getting banned from being anywhere near a school, but whatever.
Yeah. Stay away from Chuck E. Cheese.
Special file at the police station.
Running.
But talk to me, Nick. Like, listen, Jays won again yesterday. They beat up on the Yankees 6-4. That what is their 8th in a row? They swept the Yankees in New York. They're a half a game out. I'm fucking excited. Like, you and I are tweeting back and forth last night talking about this team. Are they going to make it? Like fuck, they were 9.5 back August 27th. 9.5 back, like just a little over a week ago. What are you seeing, and how are they fucking doing this? Because I think they're going to do it. I really do.
I mean, it seems like this team is just unstoppable right now. Like, they are just moving at full speed. Like, at this point, other teams got to get off the tracks because there's nothing stopping these guys. They, as you said, they've won 8 in a row. They're 9.5 back. They're now like half game back behind the Yankees for that second wildcard spot, and only a game and a half behind the Red Sox for the first wildcard spot. So their postseason odds have risen dramatically, and it's just been electric to watch them because they have just been balling out every single night. And whether it's the pitching, whether it's the offense, even the bullpen has stepped up, which has been nice to see. So they've really been firing all cylinders, and it's been great to watch.
Explain the half game back, Nick. What the fuck does that mean?
Are you serious, Lachlan?
What the fuck does it mean? Like, why is it a half game? There's no half games. You can't play half a game. Nick, help me out.
Yeah, we know that.
Go
ahead.
Yeah, essentially, there's just a games played discrepancy between the Jays and the Yankees. So one of them has played more games than the other, which I think is the Yankees. So essentially, if Jays have played one more game than them, or one less game than them in this scenario, then the wins and loss totals won't be the same. So that would cause there to be a half game because there's not exactly like they haven't played the same amount of games.
Do you really not understand that, Lach?
At all. That did not help at all.
So here's what happens. To be a game up on a team, you have to win and they have to lose. If they win, you keep tack with them, right? You stay in pace with that team. So let's say you win a game and I win a game. That means no one gets any ground. If I win a game and you don't play, that's a half game. If I win a game and you lose a game, that's a full game. Do you not understand that?
I'm fucking more lost now than I was before.
We're talking Blue Jays.
Wait till we get into basketball. Wait till we get into basketball.
Sounds like you're explaining soccer to me.
Dude, Nick, they can't be fans. Don't listen to these guys. They don't know what they're talking about.
I just have never understood that half game fucking thing and the wild card thing. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
If the team is not active, the win of the other team counts as a half game until that other team plays. If they lose, it counts as a whole game. If they win, it doesn't count as anything. Do you understand how that works?
No.
Holy. That's awesome.
Just put it this way. The beginning of the year, they both play one game each. One win, one lose. They're going to be one game apart. One team plays the next day. The other team doesn't. They win. They get a half a game now.
Why? You don't play half a fucking game. You guys are drunk.
Because they played odd number games. They haven't played the same number.
No. You're drunk.
Yeah.
No, it counts for the odd number of games, as he says. Like if the other team doesn't play.
Wants to know why they don't do it in other sports. Why don't they do it in hockey? Why don't they do it in? Yeah. You know,
because baseball.
They don't have a wild card
games.
Because they just do points.
Right.
Yeah.
Not games.
Yeah, there's points for wins in hockey. There's not points for wins. Like basketball works the same way baseball works, right? Do you understand that? No. Okay, forget it. So they play. Are they playing tonight? We got the Jays game tonight. Are they in Baltimore? Or are they tomorrow?
Baltimore.
They're tonight. Yeah. In Baltimore, shit. So who do the Jays have? Who do the Yankees have? Who does Boston have? That's what I want to know.
So Jays have it's a so-so schedule coming up. They have 20 more games left in the season. 7 of them are against the Orioles. We got 4 in this weekend, including a doubleheader tomorrow. Got 7 against the Twins, who they've been a dumpster fire this year too. And then we got 3 more against the Rays and 3 more against the Yankees, which the Rays series starts Monday. That's going to be a big series. So we got 14 out of the 20 games against some pretty dog shit opponents. So those ones we should be able to take care of them, or we have to take care of them in order to give them a real chance at the wild card. And then got 3 against the Rays, 3 against the Yankees later in the season. But both those series are at home. So I think that the Jays have a pretty good time compared to the other teams. Red Sox, Yankees, they have a series against each other coming up in a couple weekends. So they're going to be.
That'll help.
Yeah. they're going to be some ground's going to be lost for one of those teams regardless. And then the Red Sox are facing the White Sox this weekend, where the White Sox, it's going to be at home for Chicago. They're a very good team, so they should give them some trouble, especially with the Red Sox's COVID issues. With starting pitcher Chris Sale is going to be missing from Sunday's start because of COVID, and other players are missing from the lineup. And then the Yankees have the Rays to end the season, which the Rays have been kicking the shit out of the Yankees this year. So there's some optimism that the Jays can keep rolling, and the Red Sox and Yankees stumble enough that the Jays will slide and take at least one of their wild card spots.
Do you got a money bet for people tonight? Can you give us a little? Can you help us make a little cheddar? I know you're big on that. Go to at Nick Reed 1, or is it Nick 1 Reed? Is that it? Nicholas 1 Reed.
Check with Brad. Check with Brad. Brad will let you know.
Yeah.
Nick 12.
Check with Brian. Brian, why don't you?
12.
Nick 12 at Brian. Nick probably didn't hear the beginning, but we.
I'm not great with
little
those.
confusion with my Twitter handle there.
Yeah, I fucked it up every time.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple times the hyperlink doesn't always pop up for Dean, but that's okay. I can benefit the doubt.
Hey Nick, watch yourself. It's at Nick 1 AUS Reed. Nick the number 1 AUS Reed. I can see it now on my fucking
funny.
screen.
My first name is spelled Nicholas, like Jack the golfer, Jack Nicklaus, and Nicholas Reed was taken, so I just took a 1 and it sort of looks like an L, but
I see that.
but yeah, you can kind of figure it out.
Way
So,
less confusing. Way less confusing than Brad Hopper 14.
You should have put a half point in there at some point.
Listen, Nick, thank you very much for stopping by. Nick is our venerable Blue Jays guy. You can follow him at Nick number 1 AUS Nicholas Reed REID on Twitter. You can also read anything he has at DeanBlundell.com, including his Friday 5 best Blue Jays of all time, which I loved, by the way. And I got to say, it's probably Vlad. It's probably Vlad right now. It's like you can say it's Roy Halladay because of sentiments, and you can't say it's Vernon Welsh. You definitely can't say it's Shea Hillenbrand. You can kind of maybe say it's Joe Carter, probably Robbie Alomar, but fuck, it's got to be Vlad.
Yeah,
I don't think so. I wouldn't put Joe in the top 5. I put him in the top 5 for like top 5 moments as a Blue Jay all the time, but not a top 5 Blue Jay. I wouldn't put him up there. No way. Not a chance.
What's great about Vlad is that he's only 22 years old. He's got a 40 home run season already under his belt at 22. Barry Bonds didn't have that until 26, I think, which, I mean, who knows how much steroids had to do with that, but
Barry had, he didn't get on the juice until he was like 25, didn't he?
Yeah, 30.
Yeah.
That's great.
Do it when they're kind of peaking, but Vladdy's been great. Him and the rest of his offense been picking it up. You got guys like Semien, Teoscar, Lourdes Gurriel. They've been unreal. Like these last
fucking incredible
stretch of games.
Did Rance make that list, Dean?
Who?
Rance Molnix?
Rance Mullins? No.
Did he make that?
Neither did Kelly Gruber. Although I did see Kelly Gruber passed out naked on his hotel floor room once. That is 100% true. We had to go pick him up for a golf tournament. Had to go up to his room, and I'm like, knock, knock, knock. And you hear, oh, and you open up the door, and he is totally naked on the floor, and it just reeks like booze in his room. I'm like, hey, Kelly, you okay? He's like, I'm all good, brother. Let's go. And he got up and he took a piss naked, and then he just walked to the door and put on pants with no gitch, grabbed a shirt, and walked down the hallway with no shirt on. And I'm like, fucking Kelly, goddamn Gruber is the king. Like, it's just fucking.
Probably headed to the ballpark an hour later.
Oh yeah, easily. Yeah. He was one of those guys. Anyway, dude, thanks so much for doing this, Nick. Really appreciate it.
I do a play tonight, Dean.
What's your pick?
I had two bets last night. One of them being first 5 innings under 5 runs total. That hit easily. And then I also had a bonus play of Marcus Stroman from the Mets over 17.5 outs, meaning he had to go 6 innings. That hit easily as well. So tonight I got this is an even money play. I have Robbie Ray to record the win. Robbie Ray is starting tonight against the Orioles. Orioles, as you know, have been
dog shit. And Robbie Ray is a Cy Young contender. Yep. Good bet.
Sure, he's been reigning player of the month and reigning pitcher of the month and pitcher of the week. He's been unstoppable lately, and I think he's going to keep it going tonight. It's going to secure the Jays a big victory, especially if we see the Yankees or Red Sox lose tonight. Then we might see them in the wild card spot come tomorrow morning. So Robbie Ray to record the win tonight. It's at odds of -120. And so, if you put $10 on it, you're going to win $18.50 or so. And so, yeah, that's my play tonight, and I'm gonna be watching. Hope it hits, and hope we can get the Jays win streak extended to 9 games. So, yeah,
They will. They'll win tonight. Then there'll be a half game up on the Yankees lock. A half game.
Fuck off.
Lachlan Cross, 95.7 Cruise FM is where you can find him. Morning show host. Listen to him online. I know a lot of us do, which is great. And you can also find him at Lachlan Cross on Twitter. Brent on tour. He is currently on tour with Megadeath. He's the tour guy.
Are you serious about that offer for us to come to Toronto and see the show?
Yes.
On the 30th?
Yeah, just come on down. Come see a rock show.
I might do that.
Fly out. Medic there, Brendan?
Yeah, we do. You coming? You coming, Lindley?
Just come down.
Yeah,
a medic to just talk. A medic to just talk and just give me some.
Are we going? Why don't we all go? Nick, you like Megadeath? Of course you like fucking Megadeath.
Yeah,
You're coming.
We'll just swipe the Dean Blundell card.
Yeah,
we'll swipe it.
$4.99, $499 a ticket. Lock. We got you. It's all good.
Yeah. Awesome. Covered. Hop's coming. Lindley's coming. We're gonna go to see Megadeath in Toronto. We're all double vaxxed.
Hey,
it's gonna be on the 30th.
Tune in tonight. Dean Blundell Network. Kids on the Escalator. Return.
Yes. Yes,
for
sure.
They're back. You guys are back.
Yeah,
one show. Right. We're back in October.
One show only.
Tonight.
All right. So that's tonight. Brent on tour at DeanBlundell.com. You can check that out and add it to Dean Blundell on Twitter as well. At Brent on tour is where you can find him, and it'll also be on his Twitter, Ryan Lindley. Good luck with the brisket and have fun up north. Really appreciate you. The Sheeple Shepherd podcast with his lovely wife, Ash. You can get it wherever you get your podcasts and as well at DeanBlundell.com and check out his stuff at the website as well. Brad Hopper. Listen, folks, if you gain 400 pounds the next year, you might be seeing him in the Kingsville area. Or the Kingston area. Yeah.
Right. Congrats.
Cheers. Congrats.
Good job. Yeah. Thanks for sharing.
And thanks for transforming yourself from a biggin.
Yeah. And before we go, I think we end every show that Hop's on with what was in that person's hoop.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I love this game.
I'm here for this, finally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hop is a paramedic. He's found a lot of people in a lot of different positions where they've been found with things in their anus. And so
Nicholas is like, I joined this. I could be a Chuck E. Cheese right now. What the fuck am I doing?
He's not allowed anywhere near Chuck E. Cheese with that fucking mustache. Nowhere near.
So Hop, tell us, what have you found inside someone's bum?
Well, today's special moment started with a gentleman that decided to insert a russet potato, a baked potato. And we alluded to this last show. 2 days later, 90.6 degrees actually cooked said russet potato inside said cavity. And it actually started to...
Oh, God.
Yeah. So it split inside, and the actual potato itself started to decay inside that person's body. And that's what led us to the call. So again, potato, we've had apples, we've had, what was the last? Oh, the G.I. Joe, yeah. And there are a few more. But the baked potato, I had no idea that you could cook one in there. It takes a while. If you're going to do it for Thanksgiving, you need two.
Might want to get on it now.
Yeah, more of an Instapot slow cooker, but we're.
What about a yam, Brad?
Yeah, those are harder.
Get them in you now.
Isn't that how you make vodka?
I would give it an extra day. Yeah, they're sharp on the end, aren't they?
Yeah,
yam. They're not round.
No,
I don't know. Yeah,
makes it easier.
Easier for insertion. Yeah.
But they will cook. They will cook. Just remember that they will cook.
I appreciate that.
Tonight's special, Ryan Lindley, brisket,
potatoes.
Ass potatoes.
No amount of sour cream.
Potatoes are almost done.
Potatoes are almost done, everybody. Hang on. I'll bring the potatoes out after I go for a quick run. Just going to go for a quick run.
They're going to be mashed. They'll be mashed by the time we get there, boys. But there's no end to these stories, honestly.
Thank God.
Thank God.
Things. Yeah. No.
Dude, I'm counting on that.
The wrench. Next time the wrench
thing.
Oh, the wrench?
Next time. That's the prelude.
Next time you're going to drop the wrench? Yeah. I want to know more now.
Yeah, it was, The ratcheting
I love
hex
these
wrench. The ratcheting hex wrench. That's your prelude. to the next show.
They got lots of tools now that can really get into the tough places.
Yeah, it was a great Christmas gift that I'm sure Grandma wasn't too happy she bought it. But yeah, that's
Not what you meant by stocking stuffer.
Yeah, no.
Oh my
gosh,
that was a good show.
Yeah.
Brad, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. At Brad Hopper 14 on Twitter. At Brad Hopper 14, not 12. At Brad Hopper 14. Thanks, Locke.
That was a good one, guys.
Thanks, Brent. Thanks, Nick. You're the king.
Have a good weekend, guys.
Love
Bye,
the
guys.
stash. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks to Ryan Lindley. Thanks to Brad Hopper. Thanks to everybody for being part of the program today. I appreciate it. Really cool. Really cool that everybody's here. It's like fucking just kind of a little round table. Everybody kind of sitting around talking about September 11th and things you find in each other's bums and being really fat. Why not? It's a Friday. Mail it in Friday. I love this music too. It's pensive. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you. We'll see you on Monday. Don't forget, you can find us at deanblundell.com. All of us, all of those guys, all of you can go there today. Check them out. And have a great weekend. Thanks to our sponsors over at Ed's Fine Import, his Gitch, edsfineimports.com. Get his Gitch today by ordering online. If you order 3 pairs, he'll send you the 4th for free when you use promo code GITCH3. Go to edsfineimports.com. Canadian-made luxury underwear for guys. Boxer briefs with the pouch in front. Can't lose. Thanks to our friends at Domination as well, domination.com, dmntn.com. AI for people that do content. You produce these content, it takes you minutes instead of hours to do commercials, promos, etc. Try them today for free. They're our partners and they want to be yours too, dmntn.com. Try them today. Also, Easy Auto Financial. Easy Auto Financial is a company that gets you into a car and takes care of your financing, doesn't charge you a dime to do it either, and there's no obligation, so go to Easy Auto Financial today. Subprime, they got it. They got everything. They'll get anybody a car. That's what they do. It's their job, and they want to make it as easy as possible. It's all turnkey. Go to easyautofinancial.ca today and check them out. Also, our friends at Blue Microphones, thank you. Appreciate you guys supporting us, and in turn, we thank you by telling everybody to go get Blue Microphone stuff, a Logitech group of companies. If you're a content provider or someone that does gaming, streaming, podcasting, etc., bluemic.com, again, bluemic.com, or go to @bluemicrophones on Twitter, and you'll find your way to their website, bluemic.com. Check out everything they have. They're in Canada, they're in the States, and this is the company that is making you and creating an opportunity for you to be able to do stuff like this. So go to bluemic.com today. Have a great weekend. Pretty sure I'm done. Yeah, we're done. Bye.
T-1 minute.
You ready? 5:30?